Hello, I'm Martin Warwick. We're here at the Small Cells World Summit 2014 at Excel in London's Docklands, and I'm talking with Keith Day of Cisco. Keith, you've actually brought some props with you. Good to see somebody bringing something with them to show us. What are they? What do they do?
I'm bringing props in order to illustrate a wider business shift that's going on here, something fairly fundamental. Now, Cisco is a leader in enterprise Wi-Fi and in carrier Wi-Fi. This is a regular carrier Wi-Fi unit. It has an accessory slot on the back, which can be used for AC and various other things. One of the things that we've developed is a small cell unit, 3G or 4G, which simply clips in to the back. Now, that on its own is not very remarkable. What's remarkable about it is that in its native form, this is not aligned to any service provider whatsoever. So this would be sold through our enterprise channel, which is very strong all around the world, and it would then involve the enterprise buying some service and lighting it up with the operator. So we've effectively separated the installation and deployment of the cells through a very powerful IT channel, because this is an IT product effectively, with the providing of a mobile service. The business challenge that this solves is, for a service provider, how do you access the mass market of enterprises? Not the very large venues like where we are at Excel, not the the tiny kind of Soho type operations, but the mass market. This is the breakthrough for the mass market. And so yes, I'm showing you props, but I'm illustrating a sea change in the way in which this business operates.
What factors are driving mobile network demand for small cells?
There are a number of things. One is the inexorable rise in the demand for data. More data is required. The second thing is the disparity between the rise in the demand for data and the revenue per bit. So somewhere along the line, you need a lot more data. You need it in the places where it's most used, which tends to be indoor and places where the macro network struggles to actually to reach. And you need it at a lot lower cost per bit. These factors, when you add it to a scarcity, or an impending scarcity of spectrum, means that you have to reuse as much spectrum as you can, and you need to reach as many people as you can with as much data as you can at the lowest cost per bit possible. And small cells are pretty much the only way of achieving all of those goals and providing service where people really need it.
What do you think are the key challenges, the problems that are being faced by telcos as they begin to deploy and implement small cell solutions?
So I think one of I'll just touch on one problem, and that is the problem of engaging with every aspect of the customer base or potential customer base that needs this kind of solution. Service providers have great relationships with their individual consumers. They're in that business. They have great relationships with their large corporate customers. They have great relationships with the owners of large venues who come to them to provide coverage. That leaves a massive gap, and that gap is the mainstream enterprise market, where they don't tend to have direct relationships, where they don't tend to have a force to engage with those businesses and to do it in a cost-effective way. So I think from a small cell point of view, there is a gap there between service providers on the one hand who have a great service to provide, and enterprises on the other hand who want to take control of their mobile environment and their mobile connectivity and maybe connect it into some of the other things that they're doing in IT.
Now, do you think small cell technology is actually capable of delivering telco requirements now, as of this moment, or does the technology need more development?
I think there's been a lot of scrutiny on just how good small cell technology can be. I think there's an understandable level of caution in going forward with small cells. because what you're effectively doing is going from something which is largely manually engineered and optimized to something which is largely based on algorithms and software. I think that small cells have been deployed now in enough volume that the algorithms are proven. And so, no, technically, I don't think that there are any barriers whatsoever for the deployment of small cells. The barriers, the obstacles are commercial, our business model, are changes in attitude, that's all.
And how does small cells for 4G and beyond fit in with the move towards NFV, Network Functions Virtualization?
So small cells are not just access points. We always show access points because these tend to be the new part of the chain, but they connect to the mobile core network via backhaul. Backhaul is very important. The core network is very important. The gateways that these connect to, the controllers that the Wi-Fi connects to, the policies which are to do with subscriber profiling, the SON systems which are to do with network profiling in order to provide the right experience. Now that whole chain is a combination of physical and virtual infrastructure. And what's happening most of all is at the gateway end of things, the core network end of things are becoming virtualized. Cisco released a virtualized version of its market-leading Evolved Packet Core just earlier this year, and it's getting great traction. What this does is it makes the whole cycle time for deploying small cells much shorter and much more portable. So you can start to spin up networks much more quickly and for much more specialized and temporary types of deployment.
What role do you see for small cells beyond 4G and into future 5G networks?
5G, or whatever we're going to call it, is about more data and faster. Ultimately, that's what it's about. And what we've already seen with LTE is that the distance from the cell and the quality of the radio vastly determines how well things go. And in addition to that, there is scarcity of spectrum. That doesn't go away. So there's going to need to be more reuse. There's going to need to be more short-range radio going on in order to provide the headline speeds for these new technologies. That won't go away. So the distance from the handset to the cell will need to be relatively short. Then there will need to be more cells, there will need to be more frequency reuse. There will need to be a lower cost per bit. All of these things are pointing in the same direction, and that is small cells. Small cells are the answer to providing a comprehensive experience of 5G and whatever comes after it. It's a trend that will accelerate the faster the headline speeds of the mobile network.